All right, The Myth of Mental Illness. Finally, I finished reading it. First of all, I want to make something clear. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about this book or even to give an opinion about this book. There are lots of things I don't understand, but I do understand some. So, regarding psychology, my knowledge about psychology, just introduction to psychology, that's it. I don't know anything deeper than that. And this Thomas S. Sazar, he is a psychologist, and he makes some good point. To be honest, I didn't really get a whole lot out of it, and my brain hurts reading this. I felt reading philosophy is easier than reading this book, which this book is very technical, and he name dropped some of the psychologists. Some of them I know, some of them I don't know, like Sigmund Freud and Piaget and all those stuff. He did not mention F.B. Skinner. I don't know why, but the problem I see with this book is, he said obviously the myth of mental illness. He making the claim for mental illness is being a myth. It's not a real thing. It's really easy to misread this one, because once you read the title, you think, okay, he's claiming a mental illness is not a real thing, right? No, he's not claiming that. So he's saying a certain thing, like for example, he talk about how back in the day being homosexual is considered a mental illness. Now, as the society changed, it's no longer a mental illness. He's making the argument for that it's society what decide what is a mental illness and what is not a mental illness, what is a sane person and an insane person. He made some good point about Soviet Union, which I really have to read this book again, but not now. I'm gonna get little bit more into psychology, maybe read few of Sigmund Freud, P.B. Skinner and some other psychologists before I go back to this book. And he's not saying the mental illness is not real. He understands there is real mental illness as well. He talk about real mental illness and fake mental illness. Like, I don't really think he likes Sigmund Freud for some reason, and I don't really have an idea about a lot about Sigmund Freud, because I only know little about Sigmund Freud, only from the introduction to psychology parts. Other than that, it's a mystery to me what Sigmund Freud thought. And I know about Carl Jung, which I read one of his book called Man and His Symbol, which I couldn't understand anything. So I thought psychology is supposed to be easy, which is not. And can you imagine if psychology, just the basic foundational stuff, if it is this hard, what about neuroscience and neurology? It's gotta be fucking terrible to become a neuroscientist, or somewhat to get a somewhat of a what you call knowledge of neuroscience, right? That's, man, I the more I read about this stuff, no more I have respect for these neurologists. And there are few lectures in introduction to psychology about brain stuff, and so obviously in these lectures they draw the brain and there is lines, you can see it clearly. But if you are a neuroscientist or a neurologist or someone who do brain surgery, you cannot really see the colors of the veins and colors of, okay, this is the Armageddon, this is whatever this. I already forgot the parts of the brain. Okay, I know frontal lobe, I know temporary lobe, and who the fuck making horns like this? See, this fucking disgusting animal. For who you're making this nose, this fucking horn? Like nobody there at this time. Like, see, the myth of mental illness. There's clearly fucking mental illness, fucking mental creates outside. Okay, okay. Don't get sidetracked. What I was talking about, neurology, right? I know frontal lobe, and you can hear this fucking guy who's making the horn, right? What the fuck is that? Oh my god. I think the more I get older, the more I get annoyed and this stuff. You know, I like quietness. I like quietness. Is it too much to ask for have a quiet fucking 1 hour for myself? Anyway, back to neurology. So, this is a hard book, and there is, I would say it's a radical book, not necessarily like, he made arguments against psychiatry, right? But there is, let's hear what the Los Angeles Times has said. The myth of mental illness changes almost every aspect of psychiatry and publicly declare its legal authority to be legitimate, significant. So there are some people like the book, probably some people who understand the book, and I cannot really say whether I like it or not, whether I would recommend this book, because I cannot really say anything. Honestly, it's a hard book. I get his point. I get his point, but I cannot make an argument with him or against him because I know very little about psychology. But regarding hysteria, I think he's making a great point about hysteria, and back in the day when the hysteria was a thing. He is making a good argument for hysteria, and like in some element it falls a bit low for me because this certainly is a mental illness, you know, like I don't know, man. I don't know honestly, like, but it's a good book. It's a great book. By the way, I recorded this book review for this book before, but I needed to edit and stuff, and my laptop broke. I said it again, I said it already. So this one is uncut, unedited, director cut version. Okay, this is the new version. Myth of mental illness, point 2. First version was not that great either, but this one also not that great, but well, beggars can be choosers. Okay, but if you are interested in psychology, I highly recommend this one. But before you're reading this, you should at least know a little bit about psychology, like what are the illness, what are the predominant figures in psychology, who are the, you know, he mentioned lots of Sigmund Freud. You should definitely know about Sigmund Freud before you're reading this, and what is a psychiatry, what is a neurology, what is all this stuff. So it's definitely not a beginner book, and it's definitely not for someone who just did introduction to psychology. And I cannot say I enjoyed the book because I did not understand it. It was a drag. But I'm glad I finished it. It's kind of given me a sense of accomplishment to read this book. Well, I've read it, so yeah. But I will read this again, probably in the future. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Cheers and thank you. If you like my videos, subscribe. Okay.